It's April the 18th. It's Wednesday. It's 10 after 12 at noon. And those are large orb clusters. They were larger just a minute ago. Now they've broken up into smaller ones. Yeah, you can see them in high activity and high vibrations frequency state. Every now and then they're going to group into a larger cluster than just those that you see now. Those are at a high activity state. They're moving very fast. They're spinning around counterclockwise around the nucleus. So one of the larger orbs acts as a nucleus, and then those clusters spin around it counterclockwise. Okay, it's April the 18th. 12 minutes after 12 noon. This is Toronto, and this is Humber Bay in Toronto. And it's the tall building, the tallest building at Humber Bay. This is the mouth of the Humber River where it meets Lake Ontario. It's clear and sunny, another cloud in the sky. And that is not a sun reflection. What you're looking at is very large orb clusters teleporting other orbs from that part of the building to the other side, to the left. And then they teleport down towards the ground and into the lake, and where their orbs are being drawn from is from the air and the atmosphere above the building. So they're just siphoning them out of the atmosphere and pushing them down into the water. And they're breeding in the water, making even more of themselves. It's funny, every time I film these things, there's always either a helicopter or an airplane flying right over my head. And they stick around too. They'll be back. And I don't know why all these people always do all this hammering and everything every time I film these. I mean, it was so quiet before you could hear a pin drop. Every time I come out here to film, everybody seems to be really busy doing all this hammering and sawing and all kinds of things. It's really odd. So those orb clusters, what they're doing is pushing orbs to the other side of the building, and eventually where they wind up is that big orb right there, which acts as a generator, and it generates even faster motion for the orbs so that they can teleport even quicker to the other side. It's funny, I hear all this working, hammering, but I don't see anybody working. I don't know where that noise is coming from. Sounds it's like right next to me, but you can't see anyone doing any kind of work. Here's that big orb. That's a big one. And you can see how dense the air is with these orb-like organisms. Ah, see that switch right there? That was a quick switch. It just vanished and appeared in a different spot. Not far away, but still, it was like instantaneous. I'm just gonna move the camera over so that I can catch how it works. That's a large cluster, because that's a 30-story building, and that's a large cluster. It's not active enough yet, not large enough yet to be a hexahedron cluster, but that's a large orb cluster nonetheless. There's that airplane back. Next thing will be a helicopter. So you could get a better look at what I'm doing. Nothing like having planes and helicopters circle over your head and watching what you're doing. It's too much. I'm not near an airport. I'm between two airports, but nowhere near where they should be flying right over my head. Okay, that's where that orb is. It's funny, I don't see anybody. I hear people talking and working, but I can't see anyone. Compared to how loud their voices are, you can hear everything they say. Yeah, they should be right next to me here. So what that orb cluster is doing is getting orbs from the other 3 or 4 clusters that I was just showing, and they're channeling those orbs and also siphoning more out of the air or atmosphere above it and around it, and channeling them faster, speeding them up and channeling them faster to the other side of the building. And because the air is so thick with all of these organisms in that area, we get basically what appears to be a blurred picture. But there's nothing wrong with the camera, and it's shooting in high quality, high definition. So I'm going to stop it right here and put it even in higher definition, super fine. Okay, it's April the 18th, it's exactly noon, and this is a large orb cluster next to a large building, and this is in Toronto at Humber Bay. This is not a satellite dish on the side of the building or anything. This is a large orb cluster. The area is dense, the air around there is dense with a lot of small orbs. And this is not a heat wave effect on the camera or anything like that. This is basically a very large orb cluster on the side of that building. I'm gonna a little closer. You can see that there are smaller orbs in the bottom that are activated. And it's that large orb cluster that's pushing orbs over to the other side of the building along the upper ledge on the side of the building. That's the one that's siphoning them from the air and rechanneling them down towards the ground, and it's doing it along the top of the building and then down the building on the other side, down towards the water. I'm just going to move this over a little bit. Now the air is so dense with those organisms that this is the reason the picture is not clear. There's nothing wrong with the camera. There's where it is on the building. And it's close to the top of the building. It's actually on top of one of the sides of the building. It's not attached to anything. It's just suspended in midair. And this is not sunlight reflection. And it's not anything to do with heat, aberration or anything like that. This is those organisms just changing the entire scene. Because the air is so dense with them in that area. So that's where the teleportation starts. at that side of the building and goes over to the other side along the ledge. I'll take a video later when the orbs show better along the ledge. Right now there's just too many of them in that area to see them. There's a lot there on top too. Loosen that up. The air on top of that building is so thick with them that you can't get a clear shot. And it's not my focus. There's how it works. The orbs in the bottom are being siphoned from the top of the roof. The very top where those the line of clusters are at the very top. And those are long rods, and they're channeling orbs from the atmosphere or the air around the top of the building and farther up, higher up I mean, into the orb, the large orb cluster that's speeding them up and shooting them across the ledge or the ledges of that building and down towards the ground. So usually they could be seen over here because that's the ledge they go to, and there they are. But like I said, the air is so thick with them that it's hard to make them out. And just back up. Okay, so they're going all along the ledges. Later when the sun is in the right place, I'll be able to see them more clearly. Now it's like right overhead, and they won't show up as well. I have to wait for the natural light to be just right in order to catch them. But you could see sort of like a shadow effect along that top ledge. And that's only because they're moving so fast that they're hard to see. They're moving too fast for our sensory organs like our eyes to notice them. So I'm just going to go back to that cluster for a minute. That's a large cluster. See if there's anything over here. There's a lot in those trees. There they are. There's very active clusters right there. I'll have to adjust the camera to show them. Okay. They're very active right there, those two. There's actually more than two, but those are, they look like there's only two. There's a whole bunch of pretty good sized clusters right there. I'm going to tighten this so it doesn't sink on me.